Welcome guys to the Meet Damien live stream. I am Damien, and today's live stream we're going to be looking at Bitcoin and crypto like we normally do. We'll take a look at any stocks that you guys want to take a look at, but let's get into the analysis here. I'm looking at the 1 hour chart here for Bitcoin, okay? And one of the reasons why I'm looking at the 1 hour chart is because I saw something that was a little bit upsetting to me. I took advantage of the situation, but it was not looking good early this morning when we saw Bitcoin basically going sideways here on the price action. Okay, if I pull up my momentum indicators, this was ringing the alarm bells for me that the price of Bitcoin would go down, and of course it did. Here on the MACD indicator here, on the 1 hour time frame, we saw that buying pressure was dying down. And when I woke up this morning, I saw like the green candles, the light green candles were coming in, and I actually saw a red candle around like 8 a.m. Eastern time here, and I was like, oh snap, we're gonna probably drop down soon. And then we also had this MACD crossover here, this blue line crossing the orange line to the downside, and when you do that, that's a signal to like take profit on your longs. Maybe enter a short if you're inclined to do so. And that's exactly what I did. What I had to do this morning was I closed my Bitcoin long at 92K, and then I immediately went into a short at 92K, and I put my take profit at 88K because I wasn't sure if we were actually going to come down to the 88K level, because if I zoom out here onto the daily time frame and I pull up the VRVP data over here, you'll see that we do have some volume here. All right, on the VRVP data, we have some volume here like 87, 88K, and that's where I put the take profit at for the short. But I actually took profit around like basically where Bitcoin's at right now at 89,900. Didn't really catch the bottom because I'm not perfect like that. Okay, no one's perfect, and if they say that they caught the bottom or whatever, then they're probably lying to you. Okay, but yeah, I sold near like 89,900, which is currently where the price of Bitcoin's at right now. I closed my short at 89,900, and I'm just not sure what Bitcoin's going to do next. That's why I'm here on the charts with you guys here to see what Bitcoin might end up doing next here. But let's get back into that 1 hour time frame. We already identified that Bitcoin could possibly go down to like 87 or 88K because of this high volume node here, and I even marked on the chart here with this red line 87,420 is a area of interest if Bitcoin actually drops down. Right now we do have here on the volume, we do have a good amount of volume being built up around like 91K and 90K, which is where Bitcoin's been hanging out over the last couple of weeks. Every now and then we kind of drop down to 80, 88 or 89. But right now I think Bitcoin is trying to look for support at 89K right now. Let's get into the 1 hour time frame here and try to figure out what's going to happen next here. So on the MACD, I already showed you the MACD on the 1 hour time frame. Bitcoin, we do have that MACD crossover to the downside, which was my signal to get into a short. However, I probably could have stayed in the short if I wanted to. I just wanted to take some profits because I wasn't sure if like this was the end of the move here. But I'll know that the end of the move to the downside is coming in when I start seeing a light pink candle show up here on the 1 hour MACD. Kind of like what you saw back here on Wednesday, where we had a sell-off here, and then you saw that light pink start coming in and showing you that selling pressure is dying down. Okay, that's what we want to see if we're bottoming out here on Bitcoin. We don't want to see more red candles that keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger going into the weekend, because that probably means we're going to be going into like a sell-off or a crash. Okay. We want to start seeing that light pink coming in, showing that selling pressure is dying down, in order for me to be excited about taking a long here on Bitcoin. I actually do want to now take a long, since we're at 89K or 90K roughly. but I'm not gonna take that long yet until I see the selling pressure start to die down on the 1 hour time frame for my day trading activities here. And then the other thing I want to see is I want to see kind of like something like this where we get the MACD crossover to the upside, right? I want to see the blue line, you know, now that the blue line is coming down, you can kind of see it right here. But I want to see that blue line start crossing to the upside and cross above the orange line one more time, signaling that we're getting a MACD crossover to the upside and that there should be some buying pressure showing up, okay? We had that going on here on Thursday, around Thursday afternoon. I don't know if you guys remember yesterday afternoon, but that was a good time to be in a long on Bitcoin or whatever cryptocurrency that you're in for the most part. This MACD indicator, very important. It's one of my favorite momentum indicators to use, and I think you should be adding it to your charts here. That's why I got it on the bottom of the chart here. Another good indicator that I like to use that kind of helped me figure out whether I should long or short this morning is this market cipher B indicator by Welo Trades. Okay, for those who don't know, you can type in the indicators here. I have it saved as one of my favorites, but market cipher B by Welo Trades. That's the free market cipher B indicator that I use. Some of them are, you have to pay to use them. This one is free, and I like the signals and the way they got it set up here. But anyways, long story short, going back to Bitcoin, this morning, you know, I saw that red sell dot come up here around 6 a.m., okay? And I also saw that money flow was starting to curve to the downside here. This is the money flow in the green. And now, of course, money flows in the red later on this morning going into this afternoon. Okay, but I could already see that money flow is coming down, and that was telling me that the trend is to the downside, that Bitcoin wants to go down, not up, because money is leaving Bitcoin when you see the money flow start to decrease like this. And this is on the 1 hour time frame here. Okay, so I saw that and I was like, crap, probably not a good idea to be long Bitcoin right now. I should probably be taking profits, and I should probably be entering a short on Bitcoin. So that was my signal there, right? All right, I saw money flow decreasing. I saw the red sell dot here this morning when I woke up. I was like, oh crap. All right, and then of course, you know, going back to the MACD. On the MACD, I saw buying pressure was dying down, you know, throughout, you know, last night and this morning, and then I saw that crossover signal here where the blue crossed over into the orange, and I was like, ah crap, things are not looking good. Probably need to get out of the long. Probably need to open up a short, and that's exactly what I did this morning. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to put that into the trade setup in my free Discord channel that I have, because I was busy trying to, you know, exit longs and enter shorts, but at the same time, I wasn't sure if, like, you know, the money. I mean, I'm sorry, the MACD going down. You know, buying pressure dying down, it's not like a clear signal, all right, that you're gonna all of a sudden drop down in price. Sometimes the buying pressure starts increasing again, and I was waiting for like around 9 a.m., 10 a.m. Eastern time. I was waiting to see if like maybe Wall Street was gonna come in and save the day and start buying Bitcoin. And of course, Wall Street didn't. Wall Street actually joined in on selling down Bitcoin around, you know, 10 a.m. And I was like, okay, well, good thing I got out of the long, and good thing I entered the short, because Wall Street decided to say screw it, and they sold it off. Okay, but yeah, I was not liking the fact that we were trading sideways here, and buying pressure was dying down, and then market cipher B showed money flow was decreasing. I was not liking that. I was like, well, the probability is that we're going to drop down rather than going up. And then, you know, then you got to figure out, all right, how far is it going to drop down? Well, I picked 88K, 89K because I was using the market cipher B. I'm sorry, I was using the VRVP indicator here. And if I just zoom out and get some more data here, I'll turn this bad boy on one more time, the VRVP indicator. But the VRVP indicator shows that there is some high volume here at around 89K, but there's also some more volume here at 88K going to 87K. So I actually had the take profit at 88K. You know, I wasn't sure if it was going to go down to 87K. For it to go down to 87K, it would have had to violate this, you know, higher low that we made here on Sunday, where we did go down to like 87,700. So I was like, you know what? Maybe it actually makes another higher low at like 88K, and then I can actually take profit on the short. But I decided to take profit right now because why not? I made some money. Okay, I can always enter the short again if I feel like we're going to drop down again. But right now, I'm curious about getting into longs right now. And just playing the range, because right now Bitcoin's been in a range, right? We've been going down to 87, 88K, only for us to then go back up to like 91, 92, 93, 94K, right? So we've been kind of range bound on Bitcoin, and I think you could just play the range where you should be looking for longs near this value area low at 89K, and then you should be looking for shorts when we get up to like 93K, with this value area high sitting at. And then the point of control right now is at 92,400. That's a point where, yeah, price will most likely try to come back up to. So I would be looking for longs at this area to see if Bitcoin is going to come right back up to 92K again. And then I would be thinking about entering a short, but it's not just, you can't just play one indicator. Like the VRVP indicator helps me figure out levels, but the momentum indicators help me figure out what the market might do next, okay? That's why I look at the MACD indicator. That's why I look at the market cipher B indicator, because those are like my momentum indicators telling me that what the market might want to do next. Okay, it either might be buying or it might be selling, and I saw a lot of selling pressure coming in. I saw buying pressure dying down, and I was like, all right, I think the market wants to go down. And if it was going to go down, it's going to probably come down to this value area low, which it did. And I was also trying to see if like maybe if it go past that, I wanted to take advantage of that by, you know, cashing out at 88K. But we didn't actually go down to 88K. We actually caught some bids near the value area low, so that's good to see. All right. If Bitcoin was to continue selling off, I would expect it to come down to this white line here, sitting at 89K. We didn't actually go down to 89K. We went down to like 89,500 here on Coinbase Exchange. But if we do, you know, continue selling off, I would expect 89K to actually hit later on this afternoon, depending upon whether or not, you know, buyers and sellers are going to continue on the sell-off here. Let's see. Let me check up on the chat now, see what you guys are saying here. We got Dave P in the chat. Good to see you, Dave P. Thank you for coming in. Let's see. We got Laureen's in the TikTok chat. Good to see you, Laureen. Let's see. Sergi Valentin has followed me on TikTok. Thank you for doing that. Let's see. Yusuf is saying that I should get a real market cipher B indicator. I mean, why get the real? Why get like, you know, something that's you're gonna pay for when the free version works? Okay. I mean, if you want to throw your money away on a paid premium indicator from somebody else, then you can do that, or you could just use a free one. All right. The free one works just as well. Okay. But yeah, I get it. You know, you want to make some jokes that you know, the real indicator is the one that costs money. I think the one that I use right now is working just fine. All right, I would have to see it not work for me to justify, oh, maybe I should pay money for a premium market cipher B indicator. But yeah, this one works fine. You know, I like the emojis on the bottom telling me like when the price has actually bottomed out. And then over here it tells you, you know, where price is topped out. You also got these red this red bar is your overbought conditions for the RSI, and then you got the green bars helping you out, telling you that things are oversold, and that you should be buying with the green here. So I like using this market cipher B indicator here. You should try using it. You wouldn't have to actually pay money to get the same information. But yeah, I mean, if you feel compelled to you know, pay money for the same information, then by all means, go ahead and do that. All right, Dazak says, Pop and Solana into Sandrops. Make sure you are on the nice list. So is that a request for Popcat and Solana? I'm not sure if that's a request or not. Just let me know if you want me to actually look at those. Let's see. I'm just checking up on the chat here. Let's see. Appreciate the likes here. We got 2,300 likes here on TikTok. I'm pretty sure half of that probably came from Lorene. Thank you, Lorene. And yeah, in the YouTube, let's just try to see if we get the likes to match the amount of people that are in the chat here. That's all we need. Thank you, appreciate that. Hey, I see Mario joined. How you doing, Mario? So yeah, that's what I use here. You know, market cipher B and the MACD indicator to show me that, you know, we were about to do a drop here on the price. You know, we were going basically sideways here. I'm just doing a little reiteration here, but we were going sideways here on Bitcoin, which I was like, this is not good. Like, we had Federal Reserve cut interest rates and they're doing quantitative easing, and that's just not good enough for Bitcoin to catch some bids here. And then, you know, then I saw the MACD buying pressure dying down, and then of course here on market cipher B, I saw money flow was decreasing. I was like, well, the trend looks like it wants to go down and not up on price. Okay. So yeah, you know, that's what I did here. 1 hour time frame, very good to use for your day trades, for planning out what the day might be like, just using the 1 hour time frame. Sometimes I go into smaller time frames, like the 15-minute or the 5-minute, especially the 5-minute, if I'm trying to look for a better entry before I get into a trade. But yeah, 1 hour time frame, very good time frame to start if you're doing your day trading here. And that's what I like to do. I like to do day trades. But yeah, let's get into the daily time frame. Let's see how Bitcoin looks like on the daily time frame. Let's see what we can make. You know, what is the bigger picture here for Bitcoin? Some people might say, like, we kind of have the beginnings of what could be a possible bear flag. They've been saying bear flag for like the last couple of weeks here, since like the last week of November. Okay. You know, the bear flag is a bear flag, I guess, until it's not a bear flag. If we keep making higher highs and higher lows here, then this is just going to end up being an uptrend, which brings us back up to probably the moving averages above us, the 50-day and the 200-day right above us. If we get up to like the 200-day moving average, I would not call that a bear flag anymore, because what? Then it's going to look something like this, right? If we keep making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and higher highs, does that look like a bear flag? No, that looks more like kind of like a cup and handle, maybe like a V-shaped recovery. Okay, so that's what the bulls are looking for, is just continue making higher lows, higher highs, which we have been doing on Bitcoin, right? We're still making higher lows. That I can give to the bulls here, that you are still making higher lows. Every time we come down, you see these candle wicks to the downside are still higher than the previous candle wick, so that's good to see. Let's continue doing that if we're going to continue being bullish on Bitcoin. And if we're going to continue being bullish on Bitcoin, where could Bitcoin get some resistance? Well, I've talked about this on all my live streams here, but it's still the same data above us. We do have a high volume node here at 95K. All right, I think that's going to be a tough area for Bitcoin to get past. And then we have some more volume here. We got probably the most. If I zoom out here, you'll see that I have to really update the chart here. But if I zoom out here, you'll see that the highest volume node is right here, this blue line at 96K. That's the point of control line, okay? And then here we got some more volume here at 105K, and we also have some volume here at 102K. First, we got to get up to 96K, and I would be, you know, congratulating the bulls if they do that. But that could be an area where we get rejected and make a lower high, and then we go back down to lower prices. If we don't get rejected at that 96K level, then I'm expecting Bitcoin to come up to about like 101, 102K. I know some people are saying 100K. That's like a psychological number. It means nothing because it doesn't really show up on the charts. There's not that much volume there. Okay, but there have been people buying Bitcoin at 101, 102K, and then there's been more people buying Bitcoin at 104, 105K. Okay, so I'm expecting 104, 105K to be the tough area for us to get past. You know, if we ever do get up to that area, first we have to get past 96 and then 102, and then we can get up to 105K, and then I think that might be. If we get up there, that could be the lower high. That'll probably be where the 200-day moving average to this red line is curving down. The 200-day moving average, by the time we get up there, that might be where the 200-day moving average is, and we get rejected off the 200-day moving average and get rejected off the the high volume node here at 105K, and then we could possibly come down to lower prices one more time here on Bitcoin. Okay, so I think the bulls will be lucky if they can get the price to go up to 105K. At 105K, I know I'll be selling more of my spot bags, more of my crypto that I have left over. I'll probably be selling the majority of it at 105K Bitcoin. Because I just don't know if this is going to be a lower high. You know, I believe we're in a bear market on Bitcoin because we are below this red line, the 200-day moving average. There's also some other things that I've seen that kind of indicates that we're in a bear market here on Bitcoin. But yeah, I think a lower high could get formed here at that red line, that you know, around like 105K is where I think Bitcoin could go if we are lucky enough to get up to that area. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And you know, if Bitcoin goes up to like the value area high here at 116, 117K, then that'd be really great to see. I can start being more bullish on Bitcoin again. And you know what? Even though I sold at 105K, if I do sell at 105K, I can get right back in again at 110, 115K. Like, it's really not that big of a deal to just buy back in again if Bitcoin is going to continue being bullish. But I have to see Bitcoin become bullish in order for me to be bullish. Right now, I don't see the bullish thesis playing out here on Bitcoin. The only thing I see is that we're still making higher lows, which is frustrating the crap out of the bears. All right, the bears are frustrated because they're not able to push the price of Bitcoin down lower than what they did a week ago or 2 weeks ago. Okay, so as long as the bulls can keep making higher lows, they're going to frustrate the crap out of the bears. The bears will give up, and then we might actually see a gap up where we actually come up to, like, you know, 102, 105K here. Jay is asking, why is everything down, Damien? And then Dave says he has to run. See you later. Thank you for coming in, Dave. Appreciate you coming in. Why is everything down? There are some fears in the market about the technology stocks, okay? And crypto is technology, so it gets put in the same category as the technology stocks. Oracle is a technology company that reported earnings earlier this week, and their revenue was not as good as they were expecting it to be. Okay, and that was mainly because these AI companies are not spending as much money on AI technology. So if they're not spending money, then that probably means the market might be topping out on AI stocks. And you know, the Nasdaq is getting beat up right now, as well as crypto, because of that, right? Crypto gets put in the same category as technology stocks. If I go over to the Nasdaq, let's see what the Nasdaq's doing here. See, the Nasdaq's down 1.6%, which is double what the SPX, the S&P 500 is down 0.88%. So Nasdaq is taking a bigger beating. The Dow Jones, I think, was up earlier this morning, but now the Dow Jones is also down. But the Dow Jones is not heavy in technology like the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. Like, the S&P 500 has a good amount of technology stocks in it as well, but the Nasdaq has like the majority of their indexes in technology stocks. So if the technology stocks are getting beat down here, then, you know, because of AI spending fears, then yeah, it's going to be a bad day for technology stocks, and it's going to be a bad day for crypto because they get lumped in the same category. There's also some cryptocurrencies that are related to AI that probably get beat up even worse than some of these technology stocks. Let's see, is there another, if I can give you an example here, like Virtuals, right? Virtuals is an AI cryptocurrency, and that coin is down 6% right now, okay? Which I believe is a lot worse than Palantir, which is an AI technology stock. Palantir is only down 2%. However, you know, Virtuals is down 6%. So the AI cryptocurrencies are getting beat up a lot worse than the AI technology stocks. Let's see, we got Kitty Kush is in the chat right now. It says Avgo dumped on good earnings, and then Jay says he loves me. I love you too, bro. Thanks for showing the love here. I'm a little bit curious. I know you always request Big Bear AI. How is Big Bear AI doing right now? That's a AI technology stock. That one's down 3%. Yeah, see? So Big Bear AI, a technology stock related to AI intelligence, is down 3% because of the technology sell-off in AI. But, you know, if you look, like I said, if you go back to like the cryptocurrencies that are related to AI, like virtuals, they're down like 6%. They're taking it on the chin a lot worse than the technology stocks out there. Yeah, I would agree that Big Bear AI looks good in the long term. We looked at that technology stock quite a few times now because Jay likes to request it a lot. Lorraine's asking if Bitcoin could go to 84K, and then Jesse here says 90K short on a long position right now. Oh, you're asking should you short or long right now? I never give financial advice, but I'll tell you what I would do right now. I'm actually, you know, if I go into the 1 hour time frame, I'm looking for longs here on Bitcoin, because if I you know, if I pull up my VRVP indicator here on the 1 hour time frame, okay, you got the value area low at like 89,200. Bitcoin could go down a little bit further to like $89,000 roughly. I think that'd be a good area to try to go long on Bitcoin. And then, you know, then we'll see if Bitcoin can push itself back up to higher prices. Right now, we're near the high volume node here at 90K. But if we get past 90K, you know, we could probably gap up again. Like, just like we gapped down, we could probably gap up back to like 92K. And you got the value area high sitting at like 92,400. So, you know, you could long Bitcoin right now at 90K if you're day trading it, and try to take profit at 92K, right? Not sure what you're trying to do with your long or short, but if you're you know, if you're day trading this right now, I would be looking for longs right now, not really a short. But let's continue on. Let's see what the momentum indicators are doing now. Very important indicator. I was talking to another YouTuber. He says, I don't use that pesky MACD indicator. I'm like, oh, okay, you do you, but this thing is pretty important. A lot of trading platforms have the MACD indicator built in because they know it's an indicator that most people use to figure out what the momentum is for any particular asset. If I was to not have a MACD indicator, I'd feel like I'm like flying an airplane blind, right? I'd be like, you know, flying in like the clouds and not knowing, you know, what altitude I'm at without this MACD indicator, right? Okay. Right now, the MACD indicator is saying that we're probably going to go down to lower altitudes if I stick with that analogy. It looks like selling pressure is still increasing. The MACD, you know, the blue lines here, the moving averages on the MACD are still pointing downward on the 1 hour time frame. I would need to see selling pressure start dying down in order for me to justify going into a long. So that's why I still think, like, you know, right now Bitcoin could go down to 89K. Right now we're at $90,000. We could go down to 89K before we start seeing selling pressure die off here on Bitcoin. So yeah, I took profit on my short, maybe a little bit premature, but only because, like, I just wanted to lock in profits, you know. It wasn't really a big short. Had it been a bigger short, I could have took partial profits here and then wait until Bitcoin actually goes down to like 89 or 88K to take more profit. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Big Bay AI looks like RGTI or QBTS from a year ago. And Mario's asking about Luna 2. I'll take a look at that on the chart for you. Let me go ahead and write that down. Gotta start writing down. If you guys have requests, go ahead and shoot away. If there's any crypto or stock you want me to take a look at, I'll try to look at it on the charts here with you guys. Nadi Vakin says, we are going to visit the 75K zone. That'd be a strong buy zone. Yeah, you know, we first have to get through some levels here on Bitcoin before we get down to 74, 75K. Let me go back into the daily chart, try to zoom out and pull up that VRVP indicator here. But on the way down, if we were to go to 75K, first we, right now the price is at 89K. First we have to break through this, strong volume area here at 87K. If we lose 87K, then we could probably come down to 84K is another even higher volume node here. And you got to break through that support before you can start heading down to 74, 75K. But yeah, if I zoom out some more, you'll see that there is a high volume, there is a relatively significant volume node here at 75, 76K. Okay. If we were to lose 75K, I'm not sure if that's as strong of a buy zone because there's an even stronger buy zone at 69K. And then even down here at like 62K. So I had somebody on the Discord saying, Damien, how much lower do you think Bitcoin could go if this is a bear market? And I told them, 60K is a possible price that Bitcoin could go down to in this bear market. If we're in a bear market, we could go down to 60K, and that kind of makes sense because usually Bitcoin doesn't go down as much as it did in the previous cycles as far as like percentage wise how far it goes down. I think the last cycle we went from 69K down to 15K. I have to pull up the calculator here real quick, see how much of a drop that was. But that was like an 80% drop down roughly in price, okay? For us to go down to 60K would be like a 50% drop. So maybe with the banks and institutions now being in Bitcoin, with the Bitcoin ETFs and everything else, and just more people in general are now in Bitcoin, maybe 60K is as far as we go down if we aren't going to go into a bear market here. That's my thoughts. Maybe there'll be less volatility because I think before that, right, we saw Bitcoin go further down in 2017 where Bitcoin was at 19,000, we'll say, and we went down to 3,000 for like the bear market low. So I gotta quickly do the math here on the calculator, but that was like an 85% drop. So Bitcoin dropped 85% in the 2021 to 2022 bear market, and then I'm sorry. Let me take that back. Yeah, in 2017 to 2018, Bitcoin dropped down 85% from the all-time high to the bear market low, and then in 2021 to 2022, we only dropped down 80%. So maybe if this is going to be the 2025 going into the 2026 bear market, maybe Bitcoin only drops 50% if you're lucky. If that ends up being the bear market low. Or maybe it just goes down to like 70%. It could go even further than that. Not sure, but those are my thoughts. I do know that over time there should be less volatility, so I don't think we're going to have another 85% drop or 80% drop on Bitcoin. It might be like 70, 60, or 50% on the drop. So let me get into Luna 2 here, and then I'll go back to reading the chat here. Luna 2 on Binance. Looking at the daily time frame, I'm going to leave the VRVP indicator on because I feel like it's a very useful, helpful indicator to get the bigger picture of what these assets might be doing next year. We currently see that Luna 2 is currently trading just shy of 18 cents at 0.179 pennies. Right now, I got the VRVP indicator pulling data all the way back to like October of last year. And we see that we have a value area, right? We got the value area high at 21.5 cents, and we got the value area low at about 9 cents. And this is your value area. Everything in between is your value area. Okay, and the value area high, which is above us, that would be your upside target in this case. If we were to continue going up to higher prices, I would expect 21.5 cents to be kind of like where we get some resistance. You kind of already did that a few days ago. You, I zoom in here a little bit. But looks like here on December 10th, you got up to like 24 cents. So you already went above the value area high here and immediately got sold off. And now you're just hanging out here at 18 cents. Could you go lower than 18 cents? Yeah, if you did, if you go to lower prices on this asset here, you do have some support where this blue line is at. This blue line is called the point of control. The point of control is an area where you got the most buys and sells at that particular price. So this VRVP indicator, this is showing you where people were buying. All the green is the buys, all the red is the sells, and the most buys and sells was at this blue line here at 15 cents. So 15 cents is going to be your support zone for Luna 2 if it does drop down to lower prices here. You're hoping to get a bounce off of there to then go up to higher prices, obviously. And if you go up to higher prices, you know, we'll see how we handle ourselves at 21 cents. But once you get to like 21.5 cents, I would expect a rejection. So I think you're going to probably bounce between 15 and 21 cents. However, if you do drop and 15 cents doesn't hold, then you got a gap in the VRVP indicator here, and you might have to come down to about 10.5 cents, where you got another high volume node here on the VRVP indicator. So I think 10.5 cents is going to be your next support zone if 15 cents doesn't hold up here on the asset here for Luna 2. Mario says crazy market recently. AK says he got the perfect entry from a one-day retest to the top. Congratulations if you were able to do that. AK says we will go down more. Trust him. I think, you know, as far as like if we're talking about Bitcoin over here, I think Bitcoin could come down to like 89K later on today. We went down to 89,500, but I think we might actually push down to 89K. Maybe we might even go down to 88K. The way things are looking on the charts right now. Daniel SD is following me here on TikTok. Thank you for doing that. Is that a request for QNCCF? Is that a stock or a crypto? I never heard of that one. QNCCF. AK said, where the F did that volume come from? It came this morning when Wall Street decided to start selling everything that has technology in the name or is related to technology. There's a technology sell-off. The Nasdaq's taking the biggest beating of them all, and it's coming from fears of AI companies are not getting the money that they thought they were going to get for AI technology. There's a little bit of a pullback on spending, and people are worried about that going into the future. If those technology stocks are not able to justify the high prices that they're at, then there could be a little bit of a sell-off, maybe even a big sell-off in technology. Let's see. Jay in the chat says, I can't believe XRP ETS pulling so much money into the market cap, and Ripple just was announced as a bank. Conditionally, how come we see no reflection in the price point? So XRP and Ripple are two different things. XRP is the crypto, and Ripple is the company that works with XRP. They're two separate entities. So what's good for Ripple doesn't necessarily mean it's good for XRP. And what they've just got their banking license, so they just that's probably a sell the news event if that's the case. Remember, they have to start making money as a bank, right? If they're going to become a bank, they have to start making money as a bank in order for Ripple the company to start making money. But Ripple the company is just a private company. It's not even a stock. It's not publicly traded. So it's not going to benefit XRP unless XRP itself is being used by a bunch of people. So maybe that might happen later on in the future, but right now it's not going to reflect in the price because they just became a bank. They have to start actually acquiring banking customers and everything else for them to for people to justify putting money into XRP. But remember, XRP is a currency. Ripple is a company. They're two separate entities. In order for XRP to go up in price, it has to be used by people. Have you sent XRP to anybody? Any friends or family members or you know, people that you're conducting business with? Because if you are, that would cause XRP's volumes to be justified, and it would actually cause people to actually buy XRP to send it to people, and that would cause the price to go up. So if you're not using XRP, then there's your answer. You're not using XRP, therefore XRP is not going to go up in price. If you're using XRP, it will probably go up in price. Alright, Arsh is asking me short or long now. I don't really give out signals, but right now on Bitcoin, it looks like Bitcoin could go down a little bit further from what I've seen. Technology companies are also going down on the NASDAQ, so it's just a bad day. I would say a short would probably play out a lot better than the long, but for cryptocurrencies, I am waiting for selling pressure to die down on the MACD indicator here for Bitcoin, and I'm specifically looking at the 1 hour time frame to get an idea as like what the direction might be going into the weekend. And if I pull this MACD indicator out, you can see right here selling pressure is still increasing. So I would expect Bitcoin probably to go down in price, right? Unless something crazy happens and somebody shows up and clicks you know, buys a lot of Bitcoin here. If Michael Saylor comes in and buys Bitcoin right now, then, you know, maybe selling pressure starts to die off and we see buying pressure start showing up again. But right now, I think you could go into a short on Bitcoin, if that answers your question. All right, let's try to find this QNCCF. I believe that was a request here. Quantum Emotion Corporation. It's a stock. Okay. Thank you for that request for the stock here. We're looking at Quantum Emotion, currently trading at $1.99, down 2.5% today. I'm not even sure what this stock does. It's relatively new to me, but I can always get the description here on TradingView. It says that Quantum Emotion operates as a technology company. The firm engages in the commercialization and development of the quantum random number generator. It focuses on developing encrypted communications for financial, banking, military, and internet and telecommunications sectors. Company is headquartered in Montreal, Canada. Was founded in 2007. Okay. So this company's been around for a while. Market cap is about $429 million. Okay. And since this is a stock, I should be able to pull up an earnings report, right? What was like the last earnings report? No earnings? Alright. I'm not sure how I'm not sure how the stock is going to go up in value if they don't report their earnings, but apparently this stock has been going up in value. Looks like the highest stock price we've seen this was at $3.68 on October 30th. And this thing has been going up and to the right for the most part. So it's been in a bull run since like November of last year, November 2024. So this stock is bullish because you are above the 200, the 100, and the 50-day moving average. That qualifies as being bullish, in my opinion, especially when the moving averages are moving up and to the right as well. Okay. This stock was extremely bullish back here in October when it was above the 21 EMA, this white line here. This 21 EMA is going to follow the price more closely than the other moving averages. Okay. Because it's taking data from like the last 21 days versus like the 50-day and the 100 and the 200-day. The 200-day is taking data from like the last 200 days. So the 21 EMA, probably an important line to pay attention to if you're using your moving averages here. And right now, we actually went below the 21 EMA. Okay. I want to see us get above the 21 EMA to continue being bullish here. But if this 21 EMA is going to act as resistance, then we might actually come down to this 50-day moving average sitting at $1.53. That would be a good support area for this stock. Let me go ahead and pull the VRVP indicator, see what the levels are using the VRVP indicator here. Okay, so here we are. We're trading at what, $2 roughly for Quantum. If we were to continue dropping down, there is a high volume node here at $1.70, which is basically like the same price that you could have bought it at here in November 19th, November 20th. So I would expect some support there. Then there's also some more support near the 50-day moving average at like $1.50, $1.53, somewhere in that area. So you do got some support below you. And then you also got the POC, which is where the majority of people were buying this stock. They were buying it here at $1.12. Okay, so $1.12 would be a really good buy zone if you're able to get this stock at that cheap of a price. Why not? Though it may be a potential buy limit order, see if it actually gets filled. Okay. But let's see if this thing actually starts catching bids and ends up being at a higher low at some point here. Then to the upside, you do have the value area high. Could provide resistance at 227, and then you also got a high volume node here at 244. Get past 244, and then it could be off to the races, where this stock could climb up to basically where it was here in October at like 340, 360, and that would be the other high volume area here using the VRVP indicator. But let's take a look at the momentum. Let's see what the momentum is doing. See if this thing wants to go up or down based on the momentum indicators here. On the MACD, okay, so we had selling pressure here in November, then it died off. Then we had some buying pressure show up here in the beginning of December, but now we're getting some selling pressure. So this is a little bit confusing. Okay, it's trying to figure out whether it wants to be bullish or bearish. So the MACD is not really giving us any direction or trend, but right now the trend is to the downside because you got that MACD crossover where the blue line crossed the orange line to the downside, and you got selling pressure coming in. This thing might go down to lower prices based on what I'm seeing here on the MACD, okay? But I don't like to just use one indicator. I kind of want to get confirmation using another indicator, and I'll use this market cipher B indicator here to kind of figure out what might come next. And very important to look at the money flow. Obviously money flow was in the red here in November, but then money flow started going into the green in December, but now the money flow is curving back down, and it looks like we're on our way down to lower prices here for QNCCF. And you got a red sell dot that came in on December 8th, probably meaning that we're going to see a few bad days here, which we already did. So looking at the market cipher B indicator and the MACD, I think this stock wants to continue going down rather than going up here. Okay, and if it is going to continue going down, then like I said, the levels here with the VRVP indicator, $1.70, 73, 75, somewhere around that area, could be a good area to scoop up some cheaper Quantum. If that doesn't hold up, then maybe you might be coming down to like $1.50. Where you got some more high volume here on the VRVP indicator. Alright, I'm just kind of catching up on the chat here with Jay. Jay says, are you trying to get my thoughts about XRP? You said so much stuff is rolling out here for XRP, but nothing seems to be satisfying the markets. 21 shares just went live. What, with an XRP ETF, I'm assuming? And then Nostrom is asking me about QNCCF here. What do you mean by $50 on QNCCF? I think QNCCF, I believe, wants to go down to $1.70 before it gets some support. Basically the same price that you could have got it here in November. And and it might just bounce off this high volume node here, use that as support before it goes up to higher prices again. So I think $1.70 is what you're looking for on QNCCF. Let's see, Ziad is in the chat. What's my prediction for SUI in January and February? Okay, we'll take a look at SUI. Appreciate that request. Thank you, Dollar Futures, for following me here on TikTok. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at SUI now. And Jay, do you want me to look at XRP? I know you're asking about it and making some statements here, but I don't know if that was a request or not. Let's go ahead and look at SUI. I actually do want to look at SUI because I own some SUI myself, so let's see what SUI is gonna do next here. And we'll stick to using the VRVP indicator here because it's a very powerful indicator to be using in your analysis. In my analysis, I like using the VRVP indicator. Alright, so I got the VRVP indicator fired up here. SUI, I'm taking data all the way back to like August of last year. So it's almost like, yeah, about a year and a half worth of data here. And what we got going on here with SUI is, SUI is below the value area. Okay, your value area, this white line is your value area high. Then you got the other white line below it, and this is the value area low. The majority of people bought SUI at higher prices. So for SUI to be at $1.56, it's undervalued. Okay. At the very least, we would expect SUI to try to climb its way back up to the value area low at $1.81. Okay. But if SUI continues, trading at $1.50, then you're gonna end up getting a high volume node somewhere at $1.50, $1.30, and then this value area low might readjust itself, down to lower prices here, and maybe SUI might actually already be at the value area low. But right now, just looking at the charts, value area low, you got some high volume here at $1.80 is where I think SUI might want to go next. Then you got another high volume node here at $2, and then you got $2.25. Those are your targets to the upside. You're looking for $1.80, $2, and then $2.25 for the upside targets for SUI. Now, if SUI continues being bearish, right, then it could come down to this $1.30 level here one more time, like it did here in the end of November, before it gets a little bit of support there. But if that $1.30 level doesn't hold, then there is some more support at like $1.04. Ugh. That would suck. That's about like a 33% discount from where it is right now. But you're asking me, what is it going to do in January and February? So let's look at the momentum indicators to get an idea of like what could happen next here for SUI. I'm going to look at the MACD, see what SUI's MACD looks like on the daily time frame. Buying pressure has come in towards the end of November and going into December, but now buying pressure is dying down. We do not want to see that. We want buying pressure to increase, because increased buying pressure means increased prices. Prices are going to go up if we see buying pressure coming in. So I do not like this for SUI. Okay, it doesn't mean it's game over yet, because you could see buying pressure die down and all of a sudden buying pressure start increasing again. Let's see if we saw something like that. Like here in the past, like back here in July of 2025, we saw buying pressure decrease only for it to start increasing again towards the middle of July. And then buying pressure decreased going towards the end of July here. Okay, that's what you want to see for SUI if we're going to see higher prices here for SUI. Like this buying pressure dying down, that's a warning sign. However, buying pressure could start increasing out of nowhere. And save the day for SUI to go to higher prices. But I do not like this, because buying pressure going down, what could end up coming next is you'll start seeing selling pressure. You'll start seeing red candles showing up here on the MACD, which is no bueno. And then another thing you want to watch out for here on SUI is this MACD indicator. If this blue line starts going down and crosses the orange line to the downside, that could mean you're going to see a few bad days, a few bad weeks ahead of you, especially on the daily time frame. If that blue line crosses the orange line to the downside, that'll be a MACD crossover to the downside. And, you know, when you've had that happen, right, you know, MACD crossover to the downside, you see those those red candles start showing up here. Okay, same thing over here. MACD crossover to the downside, and then you got those red selling candles showing up. Once again, MACD crossover to the downside, red candles start showing up. Okay, you do not want to see that. So right now, it's a little bit of a warning sign here that SUI might want to be going down instead of going up. We need some good news, something here. But that's the problem with being in the bear market. Like, obviously, SUI's in a bear market because it's below its 200-day simple moving average. And it's more than, you know, 20% below its all-time high, or the highest for the year. So SUI currently in the bear market. It's really hard for us to get anything bullish going on during the bull market. The only kind of saving grace I can give you for SUI is that you are still making higher lows here on the daily time frame. So that might be your saving grace, because if you keep making higher lows and we're not able to go lower than what we did yesterday or last week or 2 weeks ago, then that's going to frustrate the crap out of the bears who are trying to push the price down, and SUI might actually go up. That's your only saving grace, is that you're making higher lows right now on the daily time frame. So keep making higher lows, and then maybe we might see higher prices for SUI. Imran Zan is asking about Ethereum. So alright, we'll take a look at Ethereum. And then Huck and Dot wants to look at H-bar. Alright, so we'll look at H-bar because that request came in first. And then we'll look at Ethereum. Thank you guys for the requests. Appreciate that. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at H-bar now. I'm going to get rid of this previous analysis here, clean up the charts a little bit. That didn't play out. Obviously, it didn't play out to the upside. Alright, so we're looking at H-bar currently trading at 12 cents, down 4.66% today. H-bar clearly in a downtrend and bearish, you know, in a bear market, because you're below that 200-day simple moving average. That red line right there is your 200 moving average, and that tells me that you're in a bear market if you're below it. Okay. All you gotta do is get above that red line, and I'll be bullish again, and I'll say that, you know, H-bar is back to being in the bull market again. Excuse me. H-bar kind of like at a very interesting level here. Let me just draw a line here. But literally, the price that you're at is a price that you have visited a bunch of times already earlier this year. Where, you know, here in April, we were down to 12.5 cents. And then here in June 22nd, we were down to 12.5 cents. We came down to 12.5 cents here on November 21st, roughly, a little bit below that. And we're back here below 12.5 cents again today. So, I mean, you could try to take a long because, you know, looks like we haven't really gone below 12 cents here on H-bar. You could probably put your stop loss at 12 cents here. However, you keep knocking on the door, all right? Eventually, that door is going to bust open to the downside here, okay? So this is not good, all right? We need to get out of here and start going up to higher prices here, because if we don't, then H-bar could drop down really fast and really hard and really quick here to the downside, because you don't really have that much support, right? Because H-bar, you know, back here in November of 2024, it started shooting up like a rocket. You didn't really go sideways, building up any support at lower prices here. So just as fast as H-bar went up, could be just as fast as we come down to the same level that we were at back here in September of 2024 and October of 2024. I'm concerned about that. Like, we could see H bar come right down to like 5 or 6 cents. There could be a 50% drop in H bar if 12 cents does not hold up here. Obviously, if 12 cents holds up, then you got some upside targets to look out for. Okay. But right now, this white line, this 21 EMA, is acting as resistance. You can see in the last few days, few weeks here, every time we come up to this white line, we get rejected. Sometimes we don't even get up to it before we start selling off. But like here on December 3rd, we got rejected. And then here on December 9th, we got rejected. So if we do come back up again, I'm expecting right now the price to only go up to like 0.139 pennies, which is where that white line, that 21 EMA, is sitting at. So, is that the upside you're going to get? That's really not that much, right? Okay, if you were to go from here to here, it's about 12% upside if you're able to buy now and actually get up to that white line there. Which, you know, in stock market world, the stock guys, they would love to get 12% on an asset. But in crypto, that's, I don't know, that's nothing to write home to mom about, right? If we're able to push past that 21 EMA, then you could try to climb back up to this 50-day moving average sitting at 18 cents, and that would be a nice percentage gain there. We go up about 49%. But we're in a very vicious bear market here on H bar, and you can't even get past the 21 EMA before you get rejected. Last time we went up to the 50-day moving average, this green line was like back here in October 6th, when Bitcoin was at all-time highs, is when you were at the 50-day moving average. So what, you would need Bitcoin to get to all-time highs again just to get back up to 18 cents here on H bar? That's tough. But I mean, yeah, if it goes up to 18 cents, that's a 50% move up in price. All right, let's move on to Ethereum for I'm Ranza here on YouTube. Let's take a look at Ethereum. All right, we're now looking at Ethereum, currently trading at $3,086, down 4.66% today. And Ethereum is also below its 200-day simple moving average, so that's not good to see. Anytime an asset, whether that's Ethereum, Bitcoin, could be the price of gold, the price of oil, it doesn't matter. Anytime an asset is below the 200-day moving average, I have to be bearish about that. I have to be my bias is going to be bearish, and I have to call it a bear market in that case. Okay, so you're below the 200-day moving average, you're in a bear market. Let's just call it what it is. Let's stop, being in denial and putting our head in the sand here. We're in a bear market on Ethereum, okay? Until Ethereum gets past that 200-day moving average. Once it gets past that 200-day moving average, that's 3,556, then I'll start being bullish again. And Ethereum is looking pretty good compared to some of the other high market cryptocurrencies out there, high market cap cryptocurrencies. I mean, Ethereum is just up there with Bitcoin as far as like potentially being bullish here. But I'll tell you this, Ethereum does look better than XRP and Solana and some other ones out there as far as like how far it is away from just getting back to its 200-day moving average, okay? But yeah, Ethereum has been making lower highs, and lower lows to get down to the price that it's at right now. And this looks like could be a possible bear flag here for Ethereum. If this is a bear flag, right? I'm just going to quickly measure this out here. Do I need to make it exact? We'll just see. We'll just make it like that, okay? But if this is a bear flag, then you just take the flagpole, which is this. This is your flagpole, and this would be the flag, okay? You take that flagpole, you put it to like where we could possibly break down out of Ethereum at like $3,000 here, and there is a downside target. This blue number here saying that Ethereum could come down to like $1,900. It could go down to 2 grand. That's a thesis. It's an idea. It doesn't mean that's gonna actually happen that way. Okay, but you know, there's a possibility that we could see Ethereum come down. If the same kind of violent price action that we had here in October and November continues into like the end of December going into January, then we could see Ethereum come down to, you know, basically 2 grand sometime maybe in January if we're gonna be bearish. But right now we can have a little bit of hope here because Ethereum is making higher lows here on the daily time frame. So continue doing that and you're gonna frustrate the crap out of the bears, at least for now. Because if we're not able to go lower than what we did, you know, a few days ago or a few weeks ago, then that means price wants to go up, right? Continue making higher lows and higher highs here, and you'll be back to that $3,500 hopefully later on this month, going into next month. And then I could say, all right, bear market over. We can be bullish again on Ethereum because we're now above that 200-day moving average. I see Hulk Smash in the chat. Good to see you, Hulk Smash. We're talking about Ethereum right now. So yeah, you know, my qualifications for whether you're in a bear market is, are you below the 200-day moving average, and then are you also more than 20% below the highs for the year, or even the all-time highs. And Ethereum did make an all-time high. Was it in August? Yeah, about like $4,955. So you're clearly more than 20% below the all-time high here. Let's just measure that out real quick here. Right, from 4,955 roughly down to where we are right now. You're about 36% below the all-time high. You're 36% below the highs for the year for Ethereum. And you're also below the 200-day moving average. Yeah, I would qualify that as a bear market. Okay. But my definition for a bear market changes. Like, you're not in a bear market if you get above the 200-day moving average. If you get above the 200-day moving average, then you're just, you know, you're teetering with going back into a bear market. But if you can get above the 200-day moving average and also get above the 50-day moving average, then I would say, yeah, you're in a bull market. Okay. And then this is just what? A correction. Okay. But yeah, I have to call it a bear market because you're below the 200-day moving average and you're more than 20, you're actually 37% below the highs for the year. And I guess, you know, with cryptocurrencies, you could kind of change the definition a little bit because cryptocurrencies are a little bit more volatile. So maybe if you want to use a different definition, a different criteria, maybe being down 30% from the all-time highs might be your definition of a bear market. And then also being below the 200-day moving average, you can keep that as one of your rules here. But yeah, my rules is like below 20% and below the 200-day moving average, you're in a bear market. Get above the 200-day moving average and you can just call it a correction. And get above the 50-day moving average and you're back to being bullish again. And I try to keep it as simple as that. All right? I know some people are a little bit confused, like, are we in a bull market? Is this a bear market? Is this a correction? You know, or is this a crash? I know in stock market world, they have their definitions for bull market, bear markets, and corrections. In stock market world, if a stock goes down 10%, then that's a correction. If it goes down 20%, then that is a crash, and it's also a bear market. So in stock market world, they have their definitions, and if they're down more than 20%, that's bearish, and that's a bear market for them. Okay, and I think you can apply the same rules here to crypto. Maybe you can adjust it and say instead of 20%, if it's down 30%, it's a bear market. Especially if you stay there for extended period of time. Like, you can go down 30% and then go right back up again the next month, and it's just, you know, that was just a violent crash or correction. But if you're going to go down 30% and then stay down 30%, yeah, that's a bear market. That's a crash. It's more than a correction. A correction would be like 10 or 15%. A crash is like 20 or 30%. But everybody has their own rules that they gotta stick to and follow. I stick to following the rules that Wall Street uses because it's been working for them, and it works for me to like help figure out, you know, whether we're bullish or bearish. So that's my little soapbox rant there about bull markets and bear markets. Let's see what you guys saying here on the chat here for TikTok. S Maji says we are in a bearish market. Yeah, I feel like we are, at least in crypto. It's been different for different cryptocurrencies. Like the meme coins and some of these altcoins have been in a bear market since the beginning of this year. Ever since you know, unfortunately, ever since like Donald Trump got inaugurated, it seems to be like that was like peak euphoria with the meme coins. You know, with Trump coin and what's the other one? Melania coin and stuff like that. That was like peak euphoria for meme coins, and then since then it's been a bear market for the meme coins. Sucked the liquidity out of the meme coins, and then some of these other altcoins have been also in a bear market since like the end of 2024 going into the beginning of 2025 was like when they topped out. However, Bitcoin and like Solana and XRP, they were able to make like new all-time highs and highs for the year. So Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP and Solana, they were able to make new highs for the year. So they weren't really in a bear market, but like now it looks like even those coins are going into a bear market. Thank you, Hunk Not, for sending me that rose. Appreciate that. And yeah, we did look at H-bar. Hopefully you're able to see that. I did look at H-bar a few requests ago. We looked at H-bar before we looked at Ethereum here. All right, let's go back into Bitcoin. See if Bitcoin is going to continue selling off here, or if it's going to catch some bids here. I think Bitcoin's a little bit higher than where I started off the stream at. Bitcoin now currently at 90,595. I'm going to go into the 1 hour time frame here. This is where I like to go to start looking at day trades, is the 1 hour time frame before I look at smaller time frames like the 15 and the 5 minute. So here on the 1 hour time frame for Bitcoin, we had that violent sell-off here at 10 a.m. and looks like we are starting to catch some bids here. We got some green candles showing up. Thank God, right? Okay, for some of us who are long in crypto here in our spot bags. But let's see. I like looking at the MACD here to figure out where we're going. All right, is the ship going to start turning, you know, to the upside here? And right now, I do see some hints of possible reversal here. You got the light pink candle here on the MACD, right, showing up after we had, you know, some pretty good selling pressure here. Selling pressure was significant, and if it continued, like I see, like I wasn't sure if we're going to continue seeing selling pressure increase, because if we saw another solid red candle getting bigger than what it was in the previous candles here, then I'd be like, all right, Bitcoin probably wants to continue going down to like 89 or maybe 88K. But because we're now starting to see selling pressure die off, that's the reason why Bitcoin is at least popping up here in price right now. Continue doing that, and then you'll see higher prices for Bitcoin all over again. Okay, kind of like, you know, what you saw here on Wednesday, where you saw the selling pressure was increasing and then it started dying off, and then we got that basically the MACD flip is when the red starts turning into green again. And you saw it yesterday, you know, Bitcoin prices going up to higher prices here. If you're an aggressive trader and you want to long, you could actually take a long right now on Bitcoin, knowing that the selling pressure is dying down on the 1 hour time frame here. But if you're a little bit more conservative and you want to wait for confirmation, then you can still use the MACD here. You can see, like, you know, selling pressure dying off here. This would have been an aggressive time to take a long. However, you would have got your confirmation to stay in the long when you see this blue line curve up to the upside and cross the orange line. This is your MACD crossover to the upside. That would have been your confirmation to get into Bitcoin on Thursday here. Okay, so let's just look at that here, with the price charts, right? Let me just minimize these other indicators here. But just using the MACD momentum indicator here to kind of like game plan, going long and going short or taking profit, right? Back here on Wednesday night, selling pressure was pretty intense, but then it started dying off. Okay, if you're an aggressive trader, which I can be an aggressive trader myself, you could have put a long entry in right there after that sell-off, figure out where you're gonna put your stop loss. But the thing is that was an aggressive long, okay? And yeah, selling pressure was dying off, but the price was just going flat. Like, it wasn't really going up or down, okay? Matter of fact, we actually made a lower low compared to the low here at 10 o'clock at night on Wednesday. So you possibly could have got stopped out if you had a pretty tight stop loss, okay? If you were more conservative and not aggressive, you would have waited until you saw this crossover here on the MACD to go long. And yeah, you still could have probably gotten the same price that you would have got if you were an aggressive trader and you bought right there. You would have got in right when the price was about to start running up, okay, with that MACD crossover. So that MACD crossover, pretty important signal to see, to confirm, to go long. And you would have been the benefit of seeing the price going up to like 93,500 here on Bitcoin. And then of course, when do you take profit? If you're still using this momentum indicator, when you see light green start showing up here on the MACD indicator, that's where you should take profit, okay? Because then you see this red candle show up here, and that was pretty nasty. And then of course buying pressure starts dying down. Buying pressure was dying down while the price was going sideways here. This is what I saw last night going in this morning, and this is when I was like, oh shit, I don't think Bitcoin's gonna go up anymore. Okay, I think I gotta take profit on my long. And that's what I did when I woke up this morning and I saw Bitcoin going sideways and buying pressure dying down. And then just to confirm it for me, I saw that the MACD crossover went to the downside with the blue line crossed the orange line, and that was just signal to take profit if you haven't done so already. And then if you wanted to, you could enter a short, and that's what I did this morning. I entered a short when I saw this MACD crossover to the downside, and I got paid. I got paid on the short. Like a couple hours later, boom, we had that drop in price. Okay, now I was gonna try to put this in the trade setup that I have on my free Discord. But even then, I wasn't sure, okay? Because sometimes, you can't just rely on the indicator, on just one indicator here, because the market could change on you, right? This was like around like 9 o'clock in the morning, right before Wall Street was gonna open up for business, and I wasn't sure if Wall Street was gonna come in and save the day, start buying Bitcoin, right? And then maybe we would have seen, buying pressure, which was dying down. Maybe we would have seen buying pressure increase, because you can't just expect that, oh yeah, buying pressure is decreasing and we're going to get a MACD flip. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes the buying pressure dies down and then it starts increasing again. So that's why I didn't really put it on the Discord. That plus I was busy closing out my longs, opening up shorts, and figuring out what the take profit was going to be. But yeah, I mean, I probably could have, put that on the, it would have been like literally like you would have been watching my Discord right then and there, because this happened really quick over this morning here. And I think it might have caught some people off guard, but it didn't really catch me off guard because I saw that buying pressure was decreasing. And then also here, just for further confirmation about where Bitcoin was going to go this morning, I saw that money flow was decreasing on the 1 hour time frame. Like here it is around 9 a.m. and then boom, we got that flip from money flow in the green to money flow in the red. And yeah, that was also confirming that the MACD was telling me the truth about Bitcoin going down to lower prices here. Yeah. So momentum indicators, I like using them. I feel like you should use them too. I know some traders that don't, and you know, teach their own, but this kind of gives me ideas like where the market might be heading in the next, you know, the next few hours, especially when I'm looking on the 1 hour time frame. It's where I like to start. You know, when I start my morning, I like looking at the price and looking at the momentum indicators. So hopefully that gives you guys an idea as like how I like to trade and what I'm looking for. And let me see what you guys are saying here in the chat. Fred saying, will it go back up? I mean, this is the start. This is the start of trying to go back up again. Going back to that 1 hour time frame MACD. You want to see more light pink candles. You want to see selling pressure die off. And eventually you want to see that buying pressure come back in again. You want to see green candles here. Okay. So it could go back up. Oh, no, I want to get rid of that. But I think right now Bitcoin's range bound until it chooses a direction here. If I pull that VRVP indicator, you'll see like we are kind of like range bound here. So let me just let this thing readjust itself. The range right now that I'm looking at is the value area low is at 85K. That's, you know, where Bitcoin could go down before we get some support and go up to higher prices. Before we even get down to that value area low, we do have another high volume node here sitting at like 87K all the way down to like 85K. So I think anywhere between 85 and 87K is where Bitcoin could come down, get a bounce before we go up to higher prices here, if Bitcoin actually does go down. But as far as like going up, if we were to go up right now, it seems like the majority of people have been buying Bitcoin at 91K. So there is some resistance above us. But get past 91K, volume starts to drop off, and we could get rejected at 94K. Right now, the highest price that we've seen Bitcoin was like 94,500 over the last couple of weeks here, right? So I think we're range bound until we're no longer range bound. If we're gonna break out to the upside, we got to get past 94,500, and then I think after that, I know zooming out, 96K is an area of significance, area of interest. So yeah, I think 96K is going to be a tough area to beat, and then after that it's going to be 102K, 101K, somewhere around that area. But yeah, I would actually, before I started this live stream, you know, I was thinking like, all right, if Bitcoin can catch some bids here, it might be a good time to go long. Okay, I'm actually looking for longs, right, rather than looking for shorts here. Because I think we could push past right back up to 92K and then 94K all over again. Buy low, sell high, right? Such an easy phrase to remember. Seems to be hard to execute for some people. But, you know, once you get past the psychology of, you know, all right, this is looking scary, price is dropping. If you can buy low and sell high, you should be making profit, right? But I know that the tricky thing is like we don't know, like if you buy low, does it go lower, right? And that's where you got to put in your stop losses and figure out, you know, what the levels to be looking for right now. Right now, yeah, Bitcoin was to continue being bearish. I think we could drop down to 87, 88K. So if you want, if you're bearish and you're day trading this and you think we're gonna go down, I'll try to see if you could take profit at 87, 88K. And then over there at 87, 88K, I would like flip from being a short to like being long at 88K and try to see if we can ride back up to like 90 or 92K. For my day traders out there, that's how I would try to trade this. Right now, we're kind of in like no man's land. It's like you could long and we could go to 92K. We could even go to 94K, which would be even better. but like we're kind of like in no man's land. Obviously, the best time to go long was like when everybody was panicking this morning, like, oh my god, what the hell's going on with Bitcoin? That would have been a time to go long. I mean, you could go long right now and put the stop loss below the lows for today, or the lows from the lows this morning. But then how far could you push it up to? Like, you probably push it up to like 92K, I would say, before I would start looking for shorts again, right? All right, let's see what you guys are saying here in the chat. Fred says that you heard it could reach 170K by the end of 2026. It's hard to make long-term targets here. Maybe if we continue being bullish, we could go up to 170K by the end of 2026, basically a year from now. But that's a long time to plan out ahead. It seems like we have a hard time figuring out where Bitcoin's going to go in the next few hours and few days. I mean, I get a general idea by looking at my my indicators and momentum indicators here, but to plan things out that far out in the future, it's kind of hard. I mean, we've had a lot of bullish catalysts this year, and Bitcoin's been struggling. Why? I think because interest rates have been so high. This is like the first bull run in Bitcoin where interest rates were at like 5%. 5% or higher. Now they finally started lowering interest rates down to like 3.5, 3.7%. So maybe that might help, you know, create the case for Bitcoin going to 170K. But I think interest rates need to go down to like close to 0% for Bitcoin to go to like 170K. That's just my opinion. The Voice of Wisdom says, question, what's the name of the creator of that volume profile? Alright, so the volume profile indicator that I'm using, it's just the visual range volume profile, and there is no creator. I think it should be the visual range volume profile should be an indicator that you can get on TradingView. And all you gotta do is just type it in, right? Visible range volume profile. There might be some people that actually created some other indicators here, but I think this should be the one that comes with TradingView. And if you're not able to use it, then it's probably because you gotta have a subscription to TradingView. So if you're not able to actually pull up the visual range volume profile, you might have to pay the subscription plan. And you can do a monthly plan and just try it out and see if you like it or not, rather than doing like a yearly plan. But yeah, I think you have to get a subscription to get the visual range volume profile indicator. And if you are trying to get a discount off the subscription, I do have a code here. If you go into the Meet Damien channel here, there is a $15 TradingView discount referral link there. And same thing with TikTok. If I go into TikTok, there is a $15 discount on TradingView. That's my referral link right there. Okay. All right. Hopefully that helps you out. You're welcome. All right, guys. I think that's going to be it for this live stream. I usually go live for about a couple hours. I got some things I need to do this afternoon, and then I got an appointment to go to. So I got some things I got to do. I'm glad I was able to come in and go on the live stream. I didn't think I was going to do a 2-hour live stream, but you guys kept me busy enough to do a 2-hour live stream. So I appreciate the requests that came in today, and the likes, the follows, the subscribes, and the gifts. Appreciate that. Appreciate it all. Appreciate all of you guys here. And we'll just have to see what Bitcoin does next. Right now, Bitcoin looks like it's trying to climb its way out of the lows for this morning. But we shall see. We shall see. If Bitcoin does decide to go down to low prices, I think 88K to like 89K is where, you know, I don't think it's going to be too much. We already had a pretty good sell-off. We're already down 2%. I think Bitcoin might go down to like 89 or 88K later on today if it's going to continue going down. And then maybe we'll get a bounce off that area. Just, you know, based on what I've seen on the charts here. Okay. Other than that, good luck trading and investing in whatever asset you decide to get into, guys. Take care. I'll see you Monday. We're going to try to go live 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time. Okay? Take care, guys.